tell you now, I ain't no holy individual, but I am righteous. I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm not gonna steal from you, I'm not gonna cheat. I'm gonna tell you the truth, whether you like that or not. That's it.
JR Swiftz, what's good, my digger?
What's good? What's good, King? How you?
Everything's peace. Everything's peace. You know what I'm saying? Happy to get you on or whatever. I know you superstar status right now, so I didn't think you was gonna be on the check-in, you know?
Nah, man. Listen, I'm never on some Hollywood, you know what I mean? So, definitely, like, you reached out, I was like, yeah, definitely, let's do it. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate you for having me.
Word up, word up. So, yo, let's clear this up. Are you from Brooklyn or are you from Charlotte?
Nah. So, I was born in East New York, and I left East New York to go to VA, and then I was back and forth between VA and East New York, but most of my time was spent in VA, Virginia Beach, and then I moved to Charlotte in 2009, then moved back to VA again. So, yeah, I just live here. I ain't from here. I just live here.
Okay, so you live in VA right now?
No, I'm in Charlotte.
Okay, yeah, okay. What part of Charlotte?
Well, I'm on the outskirts, so like Kannapolis, Concord area, but
Okay.
so it's more so towards like North Charlotte.
Okay, right. Yeah, this is my adopted home city as well. You know, I'm originally from Long Island.
Okay, word.
Yeah, Hempstead, Freeport, Roosevelt, and I rest over in the Sunset area, North Lake area right now.
Okay, yeah. I'll be over there from time to time. Know what I mean, I mainly be like South Charlotte and all that.
Right. True indeed.
Mm-hmm.
So, how did you get into the beat making? Because I think it's stated that your father was a beat maker, correct?
Yeah. My pops. That's Big J, not Big J, y'all. His name is J Swift. So that's how the name came about for JR. I didn't want to be Swift Jr., so I just reversed the name. So I started producing because of him. I mean, he inspired me to make music. I was MCing at first though, and then I ain't really like the voice. You know what I mean? Some people got the rapping voice, some people, you know what I mean? Some people do, some people don't. I was one of those people who didn't have it. So I just took production more serious because I didn't have the voice I needed to be an MC. So yeah, he had me around like, and you name it, from Busta Rhymes to AZ to Papoose to shit Coogee Rap. Man, you name it, bro. I was, being in New York, I was around like some greats, Flavor Flav. You know what I mean?
Right. So is your pop still producing? Is he still making beats?
Yeah. He actually, so me and him end up doing something for Pap on the February project. So he did a joint with Pat, who is a Pat, my son, and God bless his dad, Fred the Godson. So he did that joint, and I end up doing like 2 joints on that project. So yeah, he still produces. He actually working on a project right now for the sister that's out in Atlanta. Her name is Keith Turner. So he's doing a project with her right now.
Word. Yeah, I know he must be very proud of you. Now I'm gonna say it right now.
Mm-hmm.
You right now, arguably, for me, as far as top 5, you're in my top 2. It's you and Derringer. I mean, I love your style because it's just so hard, it's raw, and it's simple but effective. It's not overproduced, and I love that about your style. I would love to hear, a Rock Marciano project or you producing all the beats, things like that. I would love to hear a project which is you and Derringer doing all the beats for artists. I love that about your style.
Yeah,
so I'm definitely a fan.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That's love, bro. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Damager is crazy. I was able to meet Damager 2019 when they had the Griselda tour. They was at Sony Hall, in the city, and I think it was in the city. And man, super humble dude, man, super humble. Yeah, for sure. Appreciate that.
Right. So, I mean, this is strictly for my diggers. This platform is strictly for us beat makers. To chop it up. To get advice from other beat makers and get tips and things like that. So, how did you first get started with Griselda? How did that happen?
Man, so 2018, right? So I had a beat battle prior. So a couple of days before I had a beat battle. I was at my ex crib, and it's all in New York. I was in New York, so I was at my ex house. Just had a battle. A couple of days later, maybe like a day or two later, I was just about to go back to Charlotte. My homie sent me a link or sent me a post, like an IG story post. He was like, "Yo, Westlake for joints." But the post was like 40 minutes in. So I'm like, yo, his email is probably full. Like, there's no way in hell I'm going to be able to submit something and then, not having kickback. It just so happened I just tried my luck and it went through. His role manager, shout out to the B, his role manager hit me, was like, yo, Wes, love like what you sent or whatever. So I'm like, it's smooth. You know what I mean? I ain't really believe it because this is somebody that was random. So I had to go through my homework real quick and it checked out. It was legit. And Wes ended up saying my name on his IG story. And that's how that came about. So that was 2018. I think a couple months later, that's when he dropped Hitler 6. That's when I did the joint with him and Benny, Big Luther Freestyle. And then I ended up working with Flea Lord for his early project in 2019. It gets greater later. Yeah, that's the name of the project. And I did Broken Femur. He had Conway on the joint. And I was like, yo, it'd be crazy to have Conway on a record with you, me producing it. He was like, yeah, I got you. So at the time I was at work, he called me like, yo, beloved, remember what you asked for? Like, what you mean? He was like, yo, like, I got Conway, on the joint. That's how me and Conway ended up linking. So yeah, that's how that worked out, bro.
Right. So how many beats did you send Wes initially? And how many did he use?
Let me see. I sent Wes like 6 or 7 joints. He used this one. It was like 2 of them he was rocking with, but he picked another joint. And it's so crazy. The beat that was in that batch, and I'm going to Conway for a later project in 2019. That's how Vino D came about. So I sent Wes like 7 joints. Yeah.
So are you a part of Griselda that camp now, or are you still independently as a producer?
I like to say I'm like like a cousin, so to speak. So but I'm independently do my own thing. You know what I'm saying? When I get to call Wes or Con or Benny, whoever from that camp, you know what I mean, it's always love. But yeah, I consider myself like a cousin, so to speak.
True indeed. So when it comes to like sampling, like how do you dance around? If you can answer this question, how do you dance around sample clearances? Do you deal with that?
I honestly, I don't. I tell people unless it's documented paperwork, it's not up to the producers to clear anything. Now, as far as like what they do, I can't speak on that. I can't speak on how they move. I just know when it comes to the producers, unless it's in paperwork, we don't clear anything.
Gotcha.
So when I send joints off, it's, what I mean, they do what they do.
Gotcha. True indeed. Yeah, because a lot of people be wanting to know, being sample based, are you clearing samples, or is it only for like a bigger name that you have to worry about clearing those samples?
Yeah, it's always it's ways around everything, bro. Like you have you have producers that create samples now. You could go that route, the sample packs or whatever. It's just the downside to that, you paying $30 just as well as anybody else. You will have this access to the same samples as everybody else. That's the downside, and among other things too. I ain't really gonna get into. But as far as using actual samples, if you only have a name like that or you ain't really doing crazy numbers, they're not gonna check for you. What they will do though, they'll let you run it up. Then they're gonna come holler at you. But it just depends, you know what I'm saying? You know how many people using samples from indie to mainstream, you know what I'm saying, that we don't know about that use samples? So it's kind of hard they're trying to crack down, but it's kind of hard to really pinpoint, you know what I'm saying? That's why I don't really rock with who sampled, because they be on everybody's necks. Everybody's neck. Luckily for me, I only got a few and then catch everything else. But the best way to do it though, I drop a gem. Try to find a record that's overseas or something that's super duper rare. That's the way you win.
So since you talking about records, I guess you're still digging in the crates. Are you digging locally in Charlotte, or are you digging abroad elsewhere?
Nah, elsewhere, like I follow these cats from overseas, and they you can either buy the record or you can buy the waves. So I haven't been digging, and like I don't think I ever been digging. I think it was either through YouTube or now I just buy the waves from the record. It's the actual record. I just don't have the physical. I just have the waves portion. I rather do that because I'm trying to work fast and I don't got time to be, going through records, and which I'm pretty sure is a dope way to find your sound. But I'd rather do the waves. It's quicker. I can throw it in the MP and do what I need to do. Then I got 2 or 3 beats instead of, oh, let me go to a local spot around here in Charlotte or Kannapolis or Concord, wherever, and just dig for records. And you may come up with something, you may not. I don't have that time. I could just listen. I could skim through. So what they'll do, they'll post like a 5, 6 snippets from that record. And then if it's like 3 out of 5 or 4 out of 5 that I think is fire, then I end up copying the record. If it's like 1 or 2, I won't touch it.
Got you. So your weapon of choice is the MPC. Which one?
So I got the MPC Live. I got the first one, the first edition.
Yeah, because I'm using the MPC Studio.
Okay, well, yeah. So I had that too. I had the silver joint. That was the one that was really going crazy with. And I'm selling that like that, and an interface that I had, something else like as a bundle to somebody, and I ended up buying the MPC Live. And I had it, 2 or 3 years now. I love it. I thought about selling it to get the Live too, but it's like, do I really want to sell it just to have a speaker? I didn't think it makes sense.
So what was the first piece of equipment that you started with?
Man, FL Studio. I can't remember, maybe 3 or 4. Was it 4? Can't remember what exact number, but it definitely was FL Studio first, and then later it became Reason. When I was in high school, it was Reason, and I think right before I was about to graduate, so like around my junior year, senior year, that's when I switched to Ableton. Shout out to Ski Beats because I actually seen a video of him like demoing him using it. I was like, yo, this is fire. So my cousin had it. He don't make beats, but at the time, this one like using torrents. It was like super heavy. So he just saw having on his computer. I'm like, oh, word. So I started messing around with it, and that's how I started using Ableton. I told my pops, I'm like, yo, listen, this is the future, bro. And yeah, because he coming from the MPC and ASR 10 era. So I'm trying to put him more to some software. I mean, he was, but it wasn't like how he is now.
Right. Yeah, because I started with the MPC 2000 XL, and I've been rocking with that for like almost 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
And the God of Law Divine put me on to this MPC Studio. He said, yo, once you get on this, it's going to change your life. And it has. The workflow is just much quicker because I was old school. I had the MPC 2000 XL and a cross-track trackboard. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, do you still use that now? You still use
Nah. I just have the MPC Studio in my Mac, and I have a turntable.
Okay, yeah, shit, that works.
Yeah, that works. So, what made you switch from like going to software to sort of like, I guess, hardware now with the MPC Live and banging on pads?
I always loved the MPC. So when I was trying to make beats, I was using my pop's 2000. He had the XL. He just had the 2000 in the ASR. So I love like the pad aspect, and I had the NPD. I hated the NPD though. Like the pads was trash. You really have to like really do some extra stuff to it to really get the feeling. You got to add corks underneath the pads and all that. I wasn't trying to do all that. So I just left it alone. I sold it, and I'm using just a MIDI keyboard and Ableton Live. But then once they had announced, what was that, 2013, 12, somewhere around there when they announced the Renaissance. So whenever they announced the Renaissance, that's when I was like, oh, so they making it like for computers and stuff now. I think the closest one might have been like the 2500, maybe like the 1000, somewhere around there. But this is like strictly like you could use, well, at the time, it was just like you could use it either or. You didn't have to use a computer. You still need a computer though. So I seen the Renaissance, I seen the whole layout, thought it was fire. And I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna get that. So I bought the Renaissance, I think like a year later. and that was my first piece of equipment, like as far as like the MPC. That was my introduction, and I ended up selling it to my pops, and then I had a machine too. I hated the machine, I hated the workflow, sold that, and then I had nothing for a minute, and then I bought what he gave me. My pops gave me the studio, the silver joint. Was using that, and so that ended up getting alive. So I always had the MPC, but I love the way like it looked. That the workflow was way smoother than machine. I was like, yo, I don't know how y'all use it. Like I don't understand it. The workflow is trash to me on the machine. So.
Yeah. So when it comes to like sampling,
Mm-hmm.
do you prefer looping or chopping? It sounds like you chop a lot, like you're chop heavy.
Yeah. Either or, man. I rather chop. I rather take a piece from the beginning of the record or the end of the record. Like if I feel like the record is fire, I tend to go either like scan through the record to see what I could pick from it. I don't want to be like, oh, okay, the beginning got to catch my ear, but maybe it's something else I could pick from. You know what I mean? I don't want to just like, oh, okay, he's that predictable. He picked the first piece of the beginning part of the record. Nah, I actually picked from the middle or the end or however. You know what I'm saying, but it's definitely chop heavy. Looping is cool. I definitely got some loops. Whatever works though. Like some people loop, some people just they chop. Whatever works for you.
Right. Yeah, I definitely agree. Now, do you play? Do you play any instrumentation, or is it just strictly samples?
Now it's strictly samples. I try to play. When I first moved to Charlotte, 2009. That's when I was like listening like Ryan Leslie and all that heavy. So I was trying to be in my little Ryan Leslie bag, but I don't know nothing about keys. So I was just doing what I knew at the time, 3 finger chords or whatever. But now it's just strictly samples. So I ask my mans, he'll play the keys, or I try to do what I do. So strictly samples.
Right. So when it comes to like you making a beat, your BPMs, what is your BPM range?
Man, usually 79, 78. So from 78 to about 86.
Mm,
But
okay.
I'm trying to do more like in the 90s BPM, but it's usually from 79 to about 86,
Right.
87 on a good day.
Mhm. Now, has there ever been a beat that, let's say, West Side liked, but he wanted you to speed it up or slow it down? Has that ever happened? Or change this part, or he just goes?
Nah, funny enough, nah. I never had that happen. I will say though, Elza definitely made me do a lot of that. So if I feel like a record is slow, I speed it up because of him. Like I send mad joints. He be like, yo, it's mad slow, it's mad slow. So remember it's like 12 songs on the album that we did last year. Majority of them joints are sped up. It wasn't the original tempo because he figured, and I'm doing it 2 or 3, maybe 4 times. I'm sending like 81, 83, 85. Then he'll pick which one. And I'm doing that for every single beat, even the beats that didn't make the album. I'm doing that for every single joint. So not necessarily West or Conway, but I'll definitely maybe do that. Sure.
Right. Now, have you been in the studio with any of these artists?
Yeah. 2019, what was that? 18, 19. I was in Detroit with L. A couple months ago, I was in the studio with West. I've been in the studio multiple occasions with West, but not with Conway yet.
Mm, okay. So what do you prefer? Do you prefer to work with the artist side by side, or you prefer to just send tracks, do your own thing at the rest, and just send beats?
Um, I found out that being at the crib and working, well, it's about balance, right? So when I went to Atlanta to work with West, it was what it's 3 studios, but he was on the top floor. So he was in Studio A, I was in Studio B. So basically, everybody be in Studio A cooking. I might be in B by myself working. And I remember when we was in Phoenix. We was at a studio in Phoenix, and he was like, "Yo, go ahead and cook. Do what you do." So I'm cooking. I couldn't get nothing off. I couldn't do my thing. So then he chilling, he recording other stuff for other people, like features or whatever. I went into another room, a small room that he had. He already had the speakers and all that set up. So I plugged in, I got the cooking. So basically working by myself, I think is better that way. But I think if you're a producer, a lot of us are introverts. You see what I'm saying? We like being alone. You gotta have that balance to really, be alone and be able to talk to whoever's in the room, because I feel like you could miss opportunities that way too. So give or
Now,
take.
now, was there a lot of pressure? I mean, because you trying to, they want you to cook up. You got, because I saw a video, I believe, and it was Mark Hami, Conductor Williams, Camouflage Mark, and I heard him say your name. Was you there?
Yeah, I was there.
Okay, so did you feel a lot of pressure to like perform, and was there competition going on between the other beat makers? Like, yo, I got to do something even crazier than what he did.
Nah, bro, it's never no competition with me. Like everybody holds their own weight. They can't do what I do, and I can't do what they do. You see what I'm saying? So, and everybody's sound is different. My sound is more, I don't want to say more polished, because that's like downplaying the other producers, and that's not what I'm trying to do. My sound is my sound. You see what I'm saying? Their sound is their sound. So whatever they do works for them. But now it wasn't even in the competition. It's like, yo, we gonna work. We gonna be on this project, or we not gonna be on this project. So now it's never no competition at all.
So, because I noticed your sound seems to be like simple but effective. Is that what you go for, to keep it simple, not overproducing and putting too much stuff into the beat?
So let me ask you, like, when you mean simple, you mean for like a West? Because have you heard the Elzar project?
I haven't heard the Elzar project.
Okay. I recommend listening to it so that we can hear a different side, because a lot more people hear, and those are loop based from West. Like those are more like loops. A lot of them are chopped. It's like 50-50. So I'll give you an example, like Conway, right? Conway, the Bruiser Brody and the Sister Abigail, those are loops. But then I'm trying to think. A joint I did for him 2019 called Everybody's Food, or for Everybody's Food 3, the beginning track, that's chopped. So I don't really try to go for like the loops, you know what I mean? So I just try to chop them and do what I do.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because my favorite beat from you is 96 Naughty by Rome Streets.
I
love that.
I think that's a loop. Salute. I think is that a loop? I haven't seen yeah, it might be a loop too. It just so happens some of my crazier joints might have been loops. But I love chopping though. Like I love piecing it together. But yeah, going back to the simple but effective. Overproducing nowadays is not like how it was like years ago. You feel me? Like with the Brian Michael Cox, the Dark Childs of the world. We're not in that era no more. You know what I'm saying? Where you go crazy with the drums and whatever. People like, listen, it's fire, it's simple, you can do drops, you can do whatever. Let me get busy. That's it. So I've tried doing other things outside of our comfort zone. I tried doing like the drum fills and go crazy like that, but it's not me. So doing me is what got me here. I'm not going shy away. You know what I mean? You're gonna have the Just Blaze, the people who, that go crazy with the drums, but then you got the Havocs. You know what I mean? Straight gully, straight to the point. You know what I mean? Like you can respect both. So I tend to be in the middle. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Now, speaking of drums, do you prefer like looping up like drum loops, or you chop up and make your own pattern?
Both. With breaks, you got to do a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? Probably have to process them a little bit more. But I'll do both. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like it's easier to create more of a groove with breaks, because there's already a groove there. Now you just because the hi-hat may lay either early or late, depending on how you messing around with the pads and trying to reconstruct the drums. Being in that I'm not a drummer, I feel like sometimes I'll do the same pattern if I'm using one shots. So I use either or. It just depends what the beat's calling. I mean,
Right. Now, do you quantize your drums, or is you just straight turn the quantization on and just go?
it depends. I'm never quantizing, but what I do, if I do quantize, it might be on a 1 and a 4. So if I'm say like you got a kick, snare, hi hat, and bass line, right? Well, sample, kick, snare, hi hat, bass line. So the kick, 1 and a 4, and I'm giving the secret sauce too. You know what I'm saying? So
This is strictly for my diggers. That's what it's
word,
about.
word. So the 1 and the 4, quantize. All the notes in between is shift off the grid. My snares is never quantized. My hi-hats, it's on the grid, but it's shift. I'm shifting them. So they can be super late. My samples, same thing. I quantize the samples, but I'm shifting them when I finish. So they be more so to the right. The bass line, I don't quantize, but I still shift them anyway. So the bass lines be super late.
Got you.
So basically, the kick is always going to hit first, basically.
So with beats, like with these artists, do you give them stems or do you just give them the MP3 or the wave?
Man, I used to be so against the stems because a lot of engineers think they be engineering them and they be messing some stuff up. So now what I do, I'll bust down the stems. I mean, you pay amount of bread for it. I mean, you get the stems, but you ain't gonna get the drums separated. Like I keep the drums intact. Your engineer can do anything else whatever, but now you ain't gonna have how I tweak my drums and then you start doing a bunch of weird stuff because that's why I was so against sending stems because people be having the engineer and think, oh yeah, nah, he good. He might be good at mixing certain type of production or just vocals. I like my drums to hit a certain way. I do certain things to make my stuff hit a certain way. So it just depends. And then if I trust the engineer, I'd be like, all right,
So how does a beat maker or producer get paid in this game nowadays? Because it seems like a lot of beat makers are reaching out and just giving these artists beats, and these artists are making albums. And is the producer ever left behind and doesn't get any bread? Like, how does that work?
Yeah. So we in a great space right now. Like far as producers always been in the background. You gotta you gotta go back in the day, look at the CDs and look at the liner notes to see who did what. It's not like that no more because of social media. Now you can see who did what. You could be strictly a fan of that producer and want to work with that producer because you see that producer. Now, as far as getting money, because everybody is either MC or producer, but since in this conversation talking about producers, you got to do more than just sending out beats. Put out your own projects. They could be beat tapes. They could be with an artist. Maybe like sound packs. So like drums, some samples that you composed. Selling vinyl if you're doing something with your beats, like a beat tape or the artist. So vinyl sales, merch. You got to do other things, maybe some partnerships too. It's ways to get money out here, but all those things I just mentioned may not work for you. So for me, I did the beat tapes. Only had one beat tape, and I put out quite a few. Only one beat tape that really did numbers. I put out a beat tape recently and didn't do well, so I took it up all the DSPs. Um, drum kits work for me. I would say artists. I'm trying to do work with artists now, like another project. So those work too. It just depends, like whatever's your niche, you gotta find what works for you because everything don't work for everybody.
Right.
It's money out here though.
Right. So, for example, if you were going to do an album with Rome Streets, you and him would do a partnership where y'all would split everything 50-50 for the most part.
Yeah. Vinyl, merch, absolutely.
Right. Okay, cool. Yeah, because I was just wondering, like, how are these producers you know, especially being sample based and things like that, how are they getting paid? Or are they getting left in the dust where, you know, you say, hey, I want to work with you. You give this MC all these beats, he puts the project out and he goes out there and sell it. Does he break you off, or you just left in the dust, or do you have to put out your own project to get money and then ask him to return the favor and get on your project for free?
Yeah, it's multiple ways you can eat, bro. Like it's not just everything is not about money. You know what I'm saying? As much people like to say, like, oh, it's about money and you know, let me get my bread. People gotta know about you. So you're gonna have to do the freebies. You know what I'm saying? Even then, even if you still give the beat away out front for free, you still got the back end, you still got the DSPs. You know what I'm saying? So even though they might not pay you 3 or 4, 500, 1,000 or whatever for the beat out front, you still be like, hey, listen, let me go ahead and get, you know, the split off the DSPs and let me get my publishing, this and the third. There's ways to get money. It may be little to nothing or might be some brand involved depending on the artist. So like Jay-Z, right? Jay-Z said, yo, listen, I want a joint. Boom, give him a joint. You gonna charge Jay some bread that probably not gonna last you, or let me take this back end money that's gonna last you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I think too what I see, because I even experience it myself and kind of have to reevaluate some things myself too. A lot of producers get frustrated with either not being paid or maybe the music's not working out for them. They might feel like, man, you know, I did everything I can or whatever the not excuse, but whatever it may be that made you not take music seriously. It's definitely room for everybody to eat and grow, but I also think too it depends where you're at in your life. If you got kids, family, whatever, because it's a risk that you're taking to do what we love to do, or any job as an entrepreneur is a risk that you're taking. Most people don't want to take risks. Like I'm a boss. Like I don't want to work for somebody else and build their business. Now, if you work for them, yeah, they're gonna pay you. You helping him, whatever, build his business. But you still got to make sure you invest in yours. And I think people wasn't fully invested
Right.
because it's maybe so much work to do, but it's out here.
Right. So it's safe to say that you're making a living off of underground hip hop without having to work a job. You don't have to work a job.
Yeah. I got laid off my job last year, and I can say this like full transparent. Um, I got laid off my job last year because of COVID. Well, it wasn't just me; it was a couple other people, and everybody was getting laid off. I had plenty of opportunities to go back and work. I still get calls from my old manager, like, "Yo, can you please come back?" Because I did well at my job. But I was like, "Nah, I want to take this risk of doing this, you know, full time." I feel like if I was at work, I feel like the opportunities won't be as available. It was just so I was blessed to be in the position that I'm in, and don't get it twisted. I'm still growing. I'm still getting it, but my bills is paid. You know what I'm saying? Phones, crib, whatever, everything is paid the way it needs to be. Um, but I don't like anybody that that work and want to do this. There's times like I was like, man, I'll go back. I'm like, man, I go back to work. I'm bored. Like sometimes I be bored. You know, you literally, well, at least for me, I'm literally just sitting at my computer just creating. So sometimes you want to be able to talk to somebody in regular and have like kind of like a schedule because I do this all day. You know what I mean, but I feel like if you're not available, you can lose out opportunities. And it's not just about creating. You still got to build your brand. You are a brand. You are an entity. So just because you're not creating, you still got to reach out to artists. You still got to plan like your next release, beat tapes or whatever. Like this is literally like a job. You know what I'm saying? So do what works for you.
Right, right. True indeed, true indeed. So, um, as far as influences,
Mm-hmm.
what beat makers influenced you?
Man, Dilla, Black Milk, Knots, High Tech, A-Rap Music, Jake One, Kev Brown. Man, it's so many PR, P-Rock. And the list goes on, man. But the first five I name is definitely like my go-tos, and they all serve a certain purpose in my production. You see what I'm saying? Like Dilla, serve the purpose of not quantizing your drums and doing, it's all about feeling. Black Milk is like being more experimental. We could, live drumming and just having fun with it. Nas is just picking some crazy, weird records and turning into some fire, high tech. It's same like far as with the feeling. It just the soul that he has. Like the records that I heard from him from running to Rider Music to the joint with him and Talib. Um, man, listen, yeah, and A-Rap just being a beast on MP, just more like that get live feeling. So yeah.
So today, like, because you named a lot of heads that's been in the game for a minute. Like who right now, like some of your peers that you really check for as well?
Man, so some of the homies, my homie Soundtrack from Oakland, the homie Praise, from Maryland, the homie Aesthetic from Brooklyn. Um, who else, man? The homie Future Wave. I think Future Wave is from Canada. He's dope. Nicholas Craven is dope too. Sadu Gold, Conductor Williams is fire. I'm trying to think, man. Might be missing somebody.
Klypto.
Hmm?
You heard of Klypto?
Nah, who's that?
Well, Klypto is dope. Check him out. He does a lot of work with Supreme Cerebral.
Okay, well, you know what's crazy? I just speaking to him, I just listened to a project I think he dropped last year. He's dope.
Yeah.
He's dope, yeah. But yeah, the first couple people I named, Aesthetic, Praise, Soundtrack, them dudes really, really like make me want to go crazy, go harder with the music because they bring something crazy to the table, man. Like, listen, if you haven't heard of them,
yeah, I heard of Praise.
Yeah, Praise, Soundtrack. He just won the Nautilus flip from Tracklib, and Aesthetic is fire too.
Word. So one last question before I let you go. Who's on your wish list of MCs that you want to work with next?
Man, I got a whole list. Nas, A.Z., Jid, Rhapsody, Raekwon, Meth, Cole, Kendrick, Benny, Tory Lanez, Young M.A., UR Drew. Yeah, it's a list.
Wow.
It's
It's funny, you wasn't on Mark Hami's project.
And yeah, I was there for the session too. But when I was there, I wasn't there, I don't think for him. Not saying like that, but when I was there in Atlanta at them sessions, I was working on the new Hitler 8. I was working on that project. So I didn't know he was doing the album until like later. I'm like, okay, word. So the album is fire too.
Yeah, it is.
So,
it is really
there's a lot of people in there. Actually, Conductor did a few joints. Nicholas Craven was on there. Camouflage was on there too. Who else? Danny the Flair. It's like one or two more producers I'm missing, but yeah. Oh, yeah, CG is on there. Yeah, it was dope.
Right. How many joints, if you can say, how many joints do you have on Hitler 8?
Man, I don't know because he done blew the album up. So he basically restarted. So I don't know what he's doing at this point. I don't know how many joints is recorded or what. It's giving me detox feels right now. You know what I mean? But from what I've heard, though, listen, it's serious. It's serious, yeah.
Because one thing I can say out of the Griselda, it seems like Westside Gunn is he's not leaning toward trap at all. So I think he's gonna have the best project out of Benny and Conway to me, because I'm into beats. So I
Mm.
think West is still holding it down for that boom bap.
Oh yeah. Well, I think they all serve their own purpose in their own right. I think um Benny and Khan trying to get both ends, mainstream and the underground circuit. Um, West is more like, nah, I love that gritty boom bap, like that's his vibe. And he got a super crazy ear for beats too. You know what I'm saying? He got a crazy ear for beats. That's one thing I could say about bro. Like he really know how to pick a joint. Um, something man, this some of my favorite joints from him. Like I said, like yeah, he got the ear.
Yeah, he definitely has that ear. But yo, I just want to thank you for taking time out your busy schedule and not being on no Hollywood superstar shit and whatnot. You know what I mean? I didn't know what to expect when I hit you up. But I just want to salute you. Like I said, I'm a big supporter of what you do. I mean, right now you're in like my top 2 beat makers. Top 2. You know, I started this platform strictly for my diggers, for my beat makers, because a lot of times, the beat maker, he may play the background. You don't know what he looks like. You just know the name. So this platform gives, the beat maker a chance to show his face. And so the supporters can match the face with the name,
Absolutely. Again, bro, thank you. Thank you for the support. Thank you for even considering me as, one of the top producers, out right now, man. Thank you for the support, for sure.
Yeah, I'm telling you right now, you got something special, man. Just keep at it, man. Keep doing your thing, man. I'm watching,
Absolutely, man. I want to plug this in. The Peter Rosenberg album, June 4th, real late. That's coming out. I did the Stain joint.
Oh yeah, I heard that. Fire.
And then the Skyzoo joint on the 12th. I did the joint called I was supposed to be a trap rapper. So yeah, man, yeah, be on the lookout.
No doubt. All right, my brother. Peace.
Yo, peace.